start tonight's live chat. Hope you're all well. Get the wrinkles out of the t-shirt, be a good start. Here we go. There we go, it's all working. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. You're very welcome. This is Brooks's Space Corner, live chat number 32. Yes, we have done 32 live chats. Yes, we have. I hope you're all safe and well, wherever you are. Good to see you. It's Tuesday, 8 o'clock here in the UK. This is London calling. But I hope you're all very safe and well out there. Brooks's Space Corner, live chat number 32. No prescribed topic this week. We can talk about anything that's bass related. So if you've got any questions or any comments about bass guitars, bass amplifiers, bass speakers, bass effect pedals, accessories, anything to do with bass guitars, this is the place. So if you've got any problems with your gear, maybe something's not working, or you did a gig at the weekend and something just ain't working right, or your pedal board's playing up, or your amp's playing up, or something on your guitar just something's not right, ask us. If I don't know the answer, chances are someone else on this live chat probably will. And we've had instances over the past couple of weeks and before Christmas. People came on here with various bass questions, didn't know the answers. By the time they left the live chat, they had various replies and we got the problem sorted. So that's what this live chat is all about. If you just want to come here for the conversation, you're more than welcome. That's what we do. And you're free to hang out as long as you wish. It's no one is not allowed here. So as long as we're talking basses, bass guitar stuff, everything's good. Before I go into what's going on the channel, I just need to do the usual kind of housekeeping bit that we do here on these live chats. So if you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're not already a subscriber, feel free to hit the subscribe button. If you're enjoying the video, feel free to give the video a thumbs up, hit the notification bell so you get notifications when I produce new videos and they get uploaded. If you wish to contribute towards the channel financially, you can do that. Two ways of doing it. Underneath every video here on this channel, because we're monetized, you'll see a selection of icons. You've got thumbs up, thumbs down, share, clip. There's a love heart with a dollar symbol. That's called super thanks. So if you enjoy a particular video or the content that a particular creator puts up, if you want to say thank you to them for providing content that you enjoy, you can hit that love heart with the dollar symbol and it allows you to make a financial donation to the channel. Alternatively, within the chat window, so if you're on the mobile app, it's below here, below the video. If you're on the desktop version, on a PC or a laptop or a Mac or what have you, it'll be that way. We have the chat window at the bottom. There's an emoji icon, so you can put emojis into this chat. Feel free, knock yourselves out with that. That's all cool. There's also a dollar symbol, and within the live chat, it's called super chat. So on every video, we've got super thanks, but on a live chat video, there's also super chat. So again, hit that dollar symbol and you can make a financial contribution to the channel, which goes towards all the equipment, the lights, the sound gear, the software, the gear that's being reviewed and demoed in all the videos. So if you wish to do that, feel free. So where are we? So we did a live chat last week, which was number 31. This is live chat number 32. There's been some long form content. So I put up a couple of videos from the bass string experiment series, which were gigs number 12 and 13. Number 14 will probably go up at the weekend at some point. And then after that, what I'm going to do, I realized doing the past couple of videos, and I kind of realized it when I was editing them before Christmas, but as I've put them up, I thought, well, the strings aren't going to change for quite a period of gigs. And I found I was kind of repeating myself a little bit. on a couple on, well, basically on the 2 videos that have gone up in the past few days. So what I'm going to do, rather than do a video on every gig, and these strings could be on for 30, 40, 50 gigs, could even go past that, rather than me just repeating the same lines about how the strings are and how they feel and how they sound, I'm going to truncate it a bit. So I'm going to put in the next video after gig 14, so probably 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, maybe 20 as well, I'm going to put them together into one video. So rather than me produce 5, 6, 7-minute videos saying the same thing, which seems a bit redundant, I'm going to group them together and give you a roundup at the end of the video, but you'll still get all the gig footage and the photos and the commentary after gigs and before gigs, and some of the stuff that we do during various shows. Covers a whole load of bands, and some of these videos I already had edited up, but I'm going to unravel them and redo it. So do maybe for the next couple of videos after gig 14, they will cover 4, 5, 6 gigs each, as the strings change. So rather than keep doing a video per gig, I'll put a bunch of gigs together into one video. Hopefully that'll work out better for you guys. You get the information, and I'm not then asking you to watch 5, 6, 7-minute videos. So that's cool. There's a load of shorts have gone up since last week's chat. Some of them relate to the bass string experiment. Some of them relate to various gig demos, gig reviews. There's going to be some fresh shorts content going up over the next couple of days, which I've been filming. However, as of today, an idea occurred to me last night and this morning, and I've been working through the logistics of it. So there's going to be a video going up. I intend to put it up on Friday. So if you're a regular viewer of the channel or a regular attendee of live chats, put a little note in your diary for Friday afternoon, or at least Friday afternoon in terms of UK time, probably around 3 or 4 o'clock. I'm going to be putting up a video which basically looks at my entire bass collection. It's not the biggest collection in the world. I know plenty of bass players with a lot more than I have, but I've received a couple of messages over the past maybe 4 or 5 weeks, I think actually in response to live chats and some of the demos and review videos that are on the channel, and people were asking about the collection. So obviously on the live chat, sometimes I pull various basses out the racks and we talk about them and go into various features and what have you, and the builders and the manufacturers and all that kind of thing. But I'm going to do a video which basically looks at my collection, and I'll give you the stories behind them. So what did I buy them for? How did I end up with them? And what do I actually use them for on a week by week, gig by gig, year by year basis? So some of them have got some great stories behind them. Some of them were literally purchased for a particular job or a band or a group. But I thought if people are that interested in the bass collection and what there is, and some of these things you can't buy, some of them are one-offs, some of them are limited editions, I thought I'd do a video and round it all up. So if it sort of generates some conversation, perhaps it's some of these basses might be basses that you as a viewer might have been looking for over the years. If I can offer some help or some advice in with regards to the particular model, then that's great. That's what I'm here for. So I'm going to do that video this week over the next couple of days, and I intend to upload it and publish it on Friday. So as I said, if you put a little note in your diary, and hopefully it'll look really good, it'll be really informative, and there should be some real nuggets of information in there. And again, if it generates some conversation and some comment, then great. What I'm not going to do in there is do demos. I'm not going to be playing the basses because we could be here all day. And although I was contemplating doing them as several smaller chunk videos, I think I'm going to do it as one big video and there's going to be chapters in there, so you can skip between the different bases that you want to look at and the ones you don't. But I won't do demos because it would just make the video huge, absolutely huge. But what I will do is after that video is up and running over the next couple of weeks, I will put up some videos that relate the information that's in the big video with the individual bases, and then do some demo stuff and talk about some of the tones and features of each bass as separate videos. So links to those will be in the main video, and we'll take it from there. It might work, it might not. Hopefully it will, and some of you guys out there will find it informative and useful, or it might even be just an excuse to pour yourself a beer or have a cold one and kick your shoes off and watch me natter on about bass guitars for probably 45 minutes to an hour, I would imagine. So I will try and edit it as best I can, cut out all the waffle, not create any padding, and hopefully it'll be a good watch for you guys. It'll be a little bit cathartic for me, because a lot of these basses have got various stories. Some of them have been all around the world. Some of them have actually never been out on a gig, purchased for a certain job and then not used on a gig, although some have been used on recordings or sessions or what have you. But it could be a really good video, and I've been scripting parts of it out today, and fingers crossed it'll come out and it'll be a really good watch for you guys. So I will let you know via the community tab and Facebook and Instagram and Twitter over the next couple of days. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, you might want to be if you want to see that video, and also hit the notification bell, because then when I send that video to be published, you'll get notification when it goes live. So that's how that kind of works. So if you're new to the live chat thing, whether on my channel or any channels here on YouTube, the way it works, it's a two-way conversation. It's like we're in the room together, but we're not. So if you've got any questions about basses, bass guitars, bass amplifiers, bass effects, bass accessories, put your questions, comments, anything you want to talk about in the live chat window. So if you're on the mobile app, it's below this screen. If you're on the desktop version, it's that way. And Graham P, hi, welcome. Good to see you. Hope you're well. Put your comments, questions, anything you want to talk about in the live chat window. As soon as I see it come up, like I have just seen Graham P say, hello, Mike, with a big thumbs up, I'll respond to it, and then the conversation's working. So over past live chats, we've sorted Texas Iguana's pedal board, which we did a couple of months back. We've given various advice to people buying basses, looking for information about pickups and circuits. Last week we were talking about reggae stuff, and we had a guy from the Philippines, him. And we were talking about various things, and he wanted some advice, and wanted to talk about certain artists he should be looking at in terms of learning reggae bass lines and how to play reggae. And between me and the other people on the live chat, I think we gave him some real nuggets to take away with him and progress his sort of bass travels, really. So that's how this all works. It's a two-way thing. So if you guys don't talk or don't ask any questions or got any comments about any of the videos here on the channel, it just ends up being me talking for an hour. So if you've got anything you'd like to ask, or if there's anything here on the channel that you've watched and you'd like to raise some questions about, or ask me about any of the basses that have been reviewed or demoed, if you want to ask anything about the writing work that I've done over the past, get this right, Mike, it's 19 years. So I used to write for Bass Guitar Magazine and Bass Player Magazine, and I've been going through some of it. I can see my scanner over there with a couple of magazines open. Years ago, and up until about 2020, I used to scan in all my content, and it was up on my personal Facebook page. What I'm now doing is going back through those scans. Some of them were on my old scanner, which weren't that great, and some of the scans, letters were like double size, and then some were like really minute. So I'm going through doing better quality scans. That's now going up on the Brooks's Bass Corner Facebook page. So I'm creating a reference library, like teeth in, thank you. I'm creating a reference library of the content that I wrote. So there's bass reviews, amp and combo reviews, pedal reviews, accessory reviews, interviews, features, columns, front covers, all sorts. So if you don't already follow the channel on social media, there's a Brooks's Bass Corner page on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Links to all of those can be found on the channel page here on YouTube. You'll see them as little icons on the bottom right hand corner. You can click on any of those and it'll take you through to me on those various platforms. So if you want to interact on social media, feel free. And also if you want to interact with me via YouTube, if this is your chosen platform, you can do that via the community tab. Loads of people don't know what the community tab is. So it's YouTube's version of social media. Generally, it used to be you had to have like 500 subscribers or 1,000 subscribers to get access to it as a creator. That's all gone now. So it is like YouTube's version of Facebook or Instagram or whatever you want to call it. I communicate on there pretty much every day or every other day. But I do the same thing on Instagram and Facebook as well. So if you see any of my messages or my posts or the subscriber polls that I put things up on there, I might ask you guys questions about what you want to see or your opinions on various things. You can contact me through that community tab, or you can contact me via Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, as you wish. So there we go. So here we are, live chat number 32. Lots going on with the channel. New, as I said earlier, new content went up over the weekend. So there's 2 new long form videos for the bass string experiment, which were gigs number 12 and 13. Gig number 12 was, now trying to remember. Good question, Mike. Where was gig number 12? Gig number 12 was Uncle Funk's Disco Inferno at, get it right, South Mill Arts Centre in Bishop Stortford. Of course it was. That was back in September last year. So there's gig footage on there. Looked like a good gig, I have to say. And I've had a few people ask me why the camera's never at the front of the stage looking at the band. So as if it was in the audience. The problem is trying to put a camera or a mobile phone anywhere front of stage, someone's going to take it and walk off with it. Tried putting it generally where the desk is, but we tend on a lot of gigs not to have an out front desk. It's all done on an iPad, and our sound men, bless them, with Uncle Funk, are walking around the whole gig to see how it sounds in various places. There isn't like a mixing desk at the back of the room. It's all done on iPad via the rack that we use. So yeah, you can't have a camera out there. And very often, none of us have friends or family. And if they're there, they want to enjoy the gig. They don't want to be standing there with a camera or mobile phone all night. So we don't tend to get a lot of out front footage. So a lot of the times I have to set something up on the side of the stage, obviously over my side. So you get, so it would be if you were stood in the wings on the stage, you're looking across the stage. So the band's all kind of side on. Sometimes the drummer records stuff and he puts stuff up on his Facebook and Instagram, and he has a YouTube channel as well. But that's all from his perspective. So literally he's looking at everyone's backs and bums. So that's not the greatest view either, but I will endeavour over the next couple of months, for as long as the bass string experiment carries on going, to try and get some more front views, audience views, if you like. So I will try and do that. It's not the easiest thing, and sometimes there just isn't time. As I found out on gig 13, which went up yesterday, which was a charity gig at a hotel. On the day of the gig, we were sat around, or I was sat around for quite a long time before I could get into the room to load in. When we got in, It was literally rush, 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 rush. Very little time to set up and sound check, let alone put a camera anywhere. The stage was really the roof was very low, so it was like playing in a tunnel, and there was so little space, you couldn't set anything up, and then there wasn't much time in our dressing room because we were within the main hall eating dinner, part of the charity auction and what have you. And by the time we finished, the whole event had overrun and we had to leave the venue really quick. So the breakdown was like rapid. So there was no time to film anything. And as I said on the video that went up yesterday, there was just no time to record anything. So I can assure you the gig happened, and I certainly got paid for it, but there was just no footage of it. And I've asked all the band, did anyone record anything? And no one did. So we had to miss that bit out. But yeah, we got the video up, and I was able to tell you how the strings were doing, but there wasn't any of the glamour stuff. But there we go. I've just seen someone's posted up. Just bear with me a moment, guys. Too lazy for a name. That's fabulous. Well done, sir. All right, Geese. How are we, mate? All right. You're very welcome. I don't recognise the name. If you've been a silent viewer, that's all good. But good to see you. Thank you for joining in. So here we are, Brooks's Bass Corner live chat number 32, Tuesday evening. It's 2023. Almost halfway through January. We'll be in festival season soon, the way it's going. Graham P, have a question, buddy. Do you ever gig amplers with just the DI box and IEMs? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. So clearly it's been a while maybe since you've been on one of our live chats, because I've talked about IEMs quite a bit before. So I'll give you a quick background. So I do lots of different gigs with different bands. They all have different setups, but since lockdown and COVID, we came out the other side of COVID. I now find myself generally playing with Queen tributes, ABBA tributes, a couple of wedding bands here and there. But my main thing that keeps me really busy is a disco show band called Uncle Funk's Disco Inferno. That band is quite different to any other bands I work with because we have no amplification on stage. Although you may see some of my bass string experiment videos and see one of my Aguilar cabinets, one here, SL212, and an amp. I have it there as backup. So if the IEMs go down, I've still got a point of reference because we have no monitoring on the stage. Unless it's a festival gig or a gig where the out front sound and the equipment's all being provided, we as a band don't have monitoring on the stage. We're all on IEMs. It's been a real eye-opener. I wish I could have had this set up for years. Would have made my performing life so much easier. For many years, I'd never had monitoring as a bass player. I always just had to go on what I could hear coming from the out front, or if there were monitors, the bass player never got one. So, yeah, with Uncle Funk, so I'm running IEMs. What I do is I plug the bass into a pedal board. I have two boards, a bigger pedal train unit, which has got lots of lovely pedals on. I then have a smaller unit, but both of them have an Aguilar tone hammer, which is a preamp DI pedal. That's what I generally use to give a signal to the front of house, out front sound. So I'll have a couple of pedals on there. The small board has a Boss TU2 tuner, the Digitech drop pedal, one up there as well. Trying to think what else is on there. An EBS Octabass. There's an Aguilar filter twin, and then the Aguilar tone hammer. So generally that's what I will use on an Uncle Funk show. With the Queen band, it can change and it differs from gig to gig depending on whether we're providing PA and monitoring or whether it's being provided. So on the Queen shows, I generally always bring a cab and an amp, and I will use it. But some gigs, like we might be doing weddings or a function, and the noise levels have to be really low. I mean, we did a gig at, was it Minehead? No, it was Bognor. We did Bognor Butlins just before Christmas. And they told us they had a noise limit in this huge room that seated 1,500 people of 87 dB. And we were all like, what? How can, you're nowhere near any residential stuff, but they had an 87 dB limit. So didn't use the cab, just went via the pedal board and went on IEMs and tried to limit the amount of noise. So it kind of depends what job I'm doing and for what band, but I'll always take a cab and an amp with me in the car. So I've always got that. If I'm on total IEMs, those can be side of stage in case I need to fire them up. And I have had IEMs go down, either the Wi-Fi hub that we're using in our rack might go down, might have a problem. I've had issues with wireless systems where it's running on the same frequency as people's mobile phones and it can be running in and out. And so I'll always bring enough stuff to cover my backside if it all went down. And if it's general sort of wedding covers, function gigs, I'll always have a cab and an amp, but not every band has the setup that we have with Uncle Funk. So to answer your question, Graham P, that's it. So if you want to fire back some other questions, if you want to ask what I'm using or how I rig it all up, feel free. That's what I'm here for. That's what the live chats are all about. So if I can help you, if you're thinking about doing it yourself, ask me your questions. I might be able to save you a load of money, because when I went down this route, which would have been 2019, and I was buying blind, I asked loads of friends on Facebook, give me your input, let me know what you think. And the thing that came back was, it's all very lovely having molds done and personalized IEMs, but they cost a fortune. And if you lose them or damage them, can you afford to replace them? And what I've found is I use get the name right, KSZ10s from Amazon. They're between 45 and 50 pounds. They've got 5 drivers in them. Okay, they're not molds, they're not top of the range, but if I lose a set, I can just pick another set up and they will do the job admirably. They don't fit perfectly, but what I found was you can buy a set of the rubber, not filters, but the little connectors that go on the ends of the IEMs to fit your ears. So you can buy a little box that's got like 7 or 8 different sizes. And that seems to work for me. I'm not saying it's perfect or ideal, but then I haven't spent 600, 700 pounds on molded in-ears. Great if someone else is footing the bill, but I've seen too many players lose their IEMs or get them damaged, or something's happened, they've pulled a cable out. It's too much of a headache. I don't need that stress. Patrick Sweeney, evening, sir. Good to see you. Happy New Year. Hope you're well. Hope your sister's okay. Hope everything's okay there. We use IEMs as well. Gets rid of so much of the stage clutter, doesn't it just? And if you've got a good system and you can do your own mix as well, I do mine via an iPad. It's like having a CD in your ear. CD clarity. It's fabulous. Love it. I still have a cab, etc. Patrick, you and I are peas in a pod, sir. We pretty much, because we're old timers, you see. We've been doing this a long time. You learn to make sure you cover your backside, that if the preferred medium of performance goes down, you're not left without it. I've had experiences of being on IEMs and either the transmitter going down or the receiver going down and having no on-stage amplification and no monitoring, and all I can hear is a thud going on out front with no clarity, and still having to perform as though everything's perfect. It's not ideal. So I always try and cover my backside, and I clearly think you do the same, Patrick. So all good, all good. Keep this going, chaps. If you've got any other questions, or you want to, if there's specific things you want to know, Graham, stick them in the live chat window and I will respond as best I can. It can seem a little daunting when you're starting to talk about IEMs and going down that route, and if all you've ever done is use an amp and a cab, it can be a little worrying. But if you plan it right, you don't have to spend a fortune. You can certainly dip your toe in the water without spending a fortune, and you may just find it's you wish you'd done it sooner. I know I did, but the gear wasn't always that cheap. So 10 years ago it would have cost a very pretty penny to to do IEMs properly. And the band I was in 10 years ago, it would have been probably a little difficult to accommodate me with IEMs. And then I didn't have an iPad, and we didn't have wireless routers and all of that. So I'd still been at the mercy of the drummer in the band I was in at the time, twiddling knobs on the mixer, which he loved to do. Yeah, the mixer fiddler. But now it's all, you can do it all yourself. It's and like I say, you don't particularly need to spend lots of money to do it, and it's great. Sean P. Bass, hi, happy New Year, sir. Hope you've got that that Stingray sorted out now. Just thought I'd pop in for a while. Good, you are very welcome. You always know that. Fanfret Steve, evening, sir. Good to see you. Fanfret Steve, are you the same Steve that shared my post for this live chat today on Facebook? And I said, thank you very much for sharing. Is that the same guy? I'm assuming it might be. Steve, I use the same Amazon IEMs, non-wireless from the auxiliary on our X32. Exactly. Okay, it wasn't you. Well, another Steve on Facebook shared the post for this live chat. So thank you for confirming it's not you. Cool. Yeah, so that's what I do with the whole X32 thing. And with Uncle Funk, we've just upgraded the whole, the rack. We had a system that was working, but it was very fiddly, and as sound men came and went on different gigs, things were getting, there was no continuity from gig to gig. Different sound men had different profiles for the sound, and it was getting all messy. Anyway, our regular guy redid the whole rack just before Christmas, and from the very first gig that was wheeled on stage, everything has been fabulous, been really good. So yeah, happy bunny. Can't wait to do festival season this year. I might have to go amp and cabless more often, I'll tell you. And actually, as I said on live chats before, on a lot of festivals, I won't use an amp and a cab. I'll have it there, but I won't bring it on stage because generally there's no time to set it up, and it's more lugging of gear on and lugging of gear off. And very often, although our sound man will be doing the sound, everything's provided. So it's literally turn up, fly on the stage, quickly do your cables, pedal board, tune your bass, get off, put your costume on, bang, and off we go. Same with the Queen band, same with the ABBA band. It seems to be the way of when you're doing festivals and shows during the summer. There isn't a lot of hanging around time, or if there is, it's like you get there at 10 o'clock in the morning and you're not until 10 at night. That's the polar opposite. But there's no point carrying amps and cabs on if you're not going to be using them. Time is precious. So there we go. So I hope you're all well. Good to see you. So yeah, we've got 6-7 people here. Brooks's Bass Corner live chat number 32 coming up middle of January 2023. You're very welcome. If you're new to this, the way it works, it's a live chat. It's a two-way conversation. We have a live chat window. We've got some regulars in. We've got some new people in. Good to see you. So the way this works, go to the live chat window. If you're on the mobile app, it's below this video. If you're on the desktop, it's that way. And you can put in your comments, any questions. If your gear's giving you grief, or you're thinking about a new bass, or you've been given vouchers for a guitar shop or online retailer over Christmas, and you're thinking, I need some new bits, but I don't know what to get. Ask us. Between me and the fellas here, we should be able to come up with some ideas for you. So, or even if you've been given some bass related stuff over Christmas as a present, and maybe you don't know how to use it, or you're looking at it going, I haven't got a clue what this is for. Ask us. We might well know. Many of us have a few gigs on the clock. I've got over 4,000 gigs on the clock. These hands will tell you the story one day. If something's not working, chances are one of us has experienced it. We might well know how to solve the issue you've got. So yeah, any questions, any comments, stick them in the live chat window, and as soon as I see them pop up, I'll reply to them. If you're watching this after the event, and this happens on a regular basis, I've got friends, bass playing friends, muso friends, who watch the live chats after the event, which is very cool. Thank you very much for doing that. they always go, oh, well, I can't contribute to the conversation because I've missed the video. No, you can. You can put comments in the comment window as you do with any YouTube video. When I get notifications that there's a comment, whether it's a day later, a week later, a month later, a year later, if I see a notification, it says someone's responded to that video, I'll reply to it. So don't think you won't get a response or that your comment isn't valid. It really is. So there's loads of new content coming up on the channel, as I intimated earlier, and a lot of you lovely chaps won't have heard this because I said it right at the front of the live chat. I'm going to put a video up this week, Friday, probably between 3-4 o'clock UK time, and it's going to be quite a long video, but I hope it's going to be really informative and really enjoyable to watch. So I'm going to talk about my bass collection and what we're going to do, rather than me sit and do demos and what have you, because that would make a very long video, especially with this number of basses. I'm going to talk about why I bought those basses, what was the reason for buying them, what do I use them for now, and what's the story behind them. Some of these basses have great stories behind them, and I'm going to do it chronologically. So I'm going from, well, I don't have the first two basses that I bought, but the third bass that I bought on my 18th birthday, and it's here in this rack. So we're going to be going through from 1990 up to the present day, and we will go through each bass. And I've written a sheet out today with all the dates, so I know what was bought when, what order they came in, and it will kind of give you a window a bit of my professional career. Although going through the list, I realized there's 14 guitars or 14 basses that I've bought that have flown the nest I don't have, and some of those did lots of gigs. For example, the Mark King Stingray that I owned, that did virtually every gig I did from 1997 when I bought it until 2002 when I sold it. Some of the basses never did. Just, I don't want to say something and I get it wrong. Yeah, there were maybe 2 or 3 basses that were bought and then sold, and they never did any gigs. But pretty much everything in this rack, in this room, has stories to tell. So I'm going to do that video, and I'm going to do it tomorrow and Thursday. And providing it looks good, sounds good, and I think it's entertaining and informative, that'll be going up on Friday. So if you're not already a subscriber to the channel, or you don't have the notification bell hit, I suggest you do it, because you're going to then get the notifications when that video is going up. I'm hoping it's going to be a really good video. In the way I've envisioned it in my mind's eye, it's going to be great. We'll see what my editing skills are like over the next 2 days, and I'm going to film this tomorrow. So I've got to assemble all the basses from their various places around the house, and we'll try and put this all together. It's going to be a right old tale. Lots of things that we used at pivotal points in my career, so we'll see. Patrick Sweeney, we all have a favourite gig story where something went wrong, or something really unexpected, strange, weird, frightening, exciting happened. What's yours, mate? Some of that is going to get saved for a book that I'm going to do later on, providing I don't croak young. There's a book I could easily write. I might have to wait for some people to die before I could publish it, because I might get taken to court. I could tell you stories that encapsulate all of that. So unexpected, strange, weird, frightening, exciting. Some gigs, it was all of those. And actually the very first gig I did once I turned professional and signed all the paperwork to become self-employed, the first gig I had after that, so that would have been September 1995, I played at a gig, and in fact I think I might have mentioned this before, and so I don't know if you've heard this story before, Patrick. I might have done it on another live chat. I know I've told a few people this. So I played at a pub called the Fisherman's Rest in Wood Green, and I remember walking in there, And it was quite a nice pub for the area. I mean, I didn't know all the salubrious areas of London. Wood Green certainly isn't a particularly fine location. But anyway, there was this pub called the Fisherman's Rest, I think. Or was it Fisherman's Arms? Anyway, whatever. Walked in, it was very nice, very sort of, yeah, I liked it. There was like, there was a fair bit of chrome knocking around, but there were pool tables and there was Budweiser sponsorship going on, all sorts. Anyway, we get in there. And the band go, oh, we're not on till like 1 in the morning. I said, it's 6 o'clock. What are we going to do? Oh, well, we'll go and get some food and get some drink. And I said, how much are we being paid? I was like 50 quid each. I said, there ain't going to be any money left by the time. Till 1 o'clock, 7 hours hanging around. What are we here for? Anyway, got the gear in, set it up, and then we didn't play for 6 or 7 hours. When we did play at 1 o'clock in the morning, it was the bizarrest gig, and I thought, if every gig is like this, I'm probably not going to live to see 25. I was 23 at the time. Yeah. And we started playing. It was a glam rock tribute band, but we did all sorts of other things in the set as well. And these weird women appeared. Most women around Wood Green, probably a little weird, but these women appeared, and basically over the next 20 minutes proceeded to take each other's clothes off. And eventually they were totally butt naked, dancing about on this floor. All the blokes were stood around, obviously. A lot of the women in the audience had left. I just remember Jeff, the singer, had all sorts of comments and come out with some great one-liners, but we were all just like bemused because it was 1 o'clock in the morning. We'd all had a couple of pints. I wasn't driving then. I didn't have a car. And it was surreal. And this gig didn't finish till like 3 in the morning. It blew my mind. I was like, what the hell was all this about? Anyway, I never played in that pub again until, and I remember thinking, we never got another gig at that place. I got, so fast forward. So that was 1995. Fast forward to 2003. I'm doing a duo with my mate Toby, and we had this gig at a place called not Brannigan's. Wasn't Brannigan's. It was something like that. It was quite Irish. Anyway, the whole place had changed inside, been completely stripped bare, gutted. It was now looking like a really run-down Irish pub, really grotty. And I thought, I'm sure I've been here before. As I was coming up the road, I thought, I'm sure I've been, and I didn't twig. It was the same place. But we weren't playing out the back. We were playing in the front where they had the duos. I still didn't twig it was the same place until about 6 months later, I ended up playing there with the three-piece band I was in. And we were playing out the back. And as I'm loading in, I'm thinking, I've definitely been, well, I did the duo here before. And I suddenly got deja vu. I thought, I have walked through this side entrance and I've walked up this loading alley before. And as soon as I stepped into the room, it was like, I know exactly where this place is. I can't, and suddenly put two and two together, but this is what was the Fisherman's Arms, but it's not anymore. And again, we didn't go on till 1 o'clock in the morning. It was there weren't any cavorting naked women in the middle of the room, but it was just the weirdest gig. And after that, never played there again. So that's the level of tales I have for you, Patrick. But I've got all my diaries going back to when I turned professional, and I know how many gigs I've done. So I have a list of all the gigs. I don't have notes on every gig. That's a bit dull. I'm not that sad. But I can remember lots of things that have happened at various gigs. So at some point in my life, I will start writing a book. And if that gets published, okay. But yes, very strange, weird, frightening, exciting. All of those can be on the same gig. Don't worry about that. Trying to think what's happened most recently that's been odd. Frightening for me is people getting up on stage who have no right to be up on stage unless we've invited them up. I always get a little worried with people who are exceptionally drunk or have taken a lot of drugs or aren't of a sound mind, because you don't know that they don't have a knife or a weapon. And I always return to the Keith Richards mode of thinking, which is, I don't know who you are, you ain't getting up on my stage, and then batter them with a guitar. That's perfectly acceptable in my line of work. Unexpected. Gareth Gates getting up on stage at a gig in South London. That was rather unexpected. Doing an originals gig at the Old Kashmir Club in Marylebone in centre of London, and having Randy Hope Taylor sat right in front of me, watching every note I was playing. That was a little disconcerting. Let's think, what else? Doing gigs with Duran Duran's guitar player, Don Brown. That's, to me, that's weird. It's just like, I can't believe I've done that. Playing with some of the people I've played with, you know, it's all part of the grand journey, really. But this, I mean, I've got stories to tell. I really have. But so have these basses, and hopefully that video on Friday, what I don't want it to become is like a really huge long video and no one wants to watch it because it's too long. Sean P. Bass, you've done a super chat. Thank you very much. You are a wonderful man. So what Sean's just done, he's just done a super chat. At the bottom of the chat window, you'll see an emoji icon. You'll see a dollar symbol next to it. That £2 that Sean has just donated to the channel goes into the fund that pays for all this. The lights, the sound, the microphones, tripods, editing, audio interfaces, cables, bass guitars, pedal, everything that gets reviewed and demoed on the channel generally gets paid for. Thank you, Sean. I really appreciate that. Nice one. Hope my advice with getting the Stingray helped, you know. Cool. What was I saying? So yeah, I don't want this collection video to become like some big drawn out saga. So I'm going to try and keep it concise. I will edit it as best I can, so there's no fluff, no filler. I just want it to be bang, and we'll go through all the bases that I've got here, and you'll see all the various those of you who frequent the live chats often, you'll have seen quite a few of these, and I've talked about some of them. There's probably a few that none of you have seen, but they've all got various stories to tell, reasons why I bought them, you know. And I can remember everything about each of these bases. I know where I bought them from, how much I paid, when I bought them. But some of them had very specific stories. There's a couple of basses that I had to buy to do a particular session. If I didn't buy the bass, I couldn't do the gig, do the band, do the recording. Patrick Sweeney, I supported a few well-known people, and some of them are not quite what you might think they are. Isn't that the truth? There are things I can say about certain people, but I won't for fear of being sued. But yeah, can't name names without getting into trouble. You and me both, sir. Yeah, I've met some people who I thought were going to be a real pain in the backside and actually were great. And I've met other people who I've been told were great and were actually the biggest pains in the arse I've ever met. And doing the Bass magazine, the interviews and what have you, I was generally very lucky, I'll be honest. And I think we've had this conversation once before, Patrick. Generally, a lot of the names that I've interviewed were great. They know I've got or I had a job to do, and I know they have their thing to do. There were only maybe 2 or 3 that really were probably that close to me saying, do you know what, I'm walking out, I'm not doing this. And one of them would be the person you'd least expect. I've still got the interview, I've still got the audio, I've still got the transcript. And when I've listened back to it, I still think the guy's an absolute loon. And he just was looking for an argument. And I don't know why he picked our interview to do it. And when I listened to the things I was asking him, fairly bog standard questions, comfortable setting, he had a beer, everything's good, and he was just looking for an argument. Another guy he'd done an interview previously for the magazine that he didn't agree with how it was written and presented and published, and basically blamed it on me. Until I said to him, you're only the third person I've ever interviewed. So the fact that interview was like 3 years ago, it was nothing to do with me. And kindly please refrain from shouting and screaming at me, because it's nothing to do with me. But if you want to carry on, then you can talk to yourself and I'll leave the room. At which point he then calmed down and was actually quite pleasant, but he was still a dick. But there we go. So yes, you are right, Patrick. Some people are best left unmet, but generally, no, it's okay. That's. I think the fact that I'm a bass player, and if I'm interviewing famous bass players, once they realise, if they haven't already checked your credentials before the interview, they know whether you're a working bass player or not. And once they know that you kind of know your stuff, it's an easy conversation, really. It's and there's no reason for it to be difficult. But yeah, I've been fairly lucky in that respect. And some of those people I can now call friends, and hopefully one or two of them will be doing new interviews with me for the channel very soon. I hope. Hopefully, please. Their schedules are amazingly busy all the time. And even though you think, well, you can fit in a half an hour chat, very often they can't. They get no time to themselves. They're either traveling, sound checking, prepping for stuff, recording. Crazy lives. Crazy lives. I'm just going to grab a drink, guys. I've been talking for 51 minutes. Good one. So here we are, Brooks's Bass Corner. Live chat number 32, middle of January 2023. Hope you're all safe and well out there. Good to see plenty of chums, friends, the brethren here on the live chat. Thank you for attending, guys. It makes it worthwhile. I can't do these live chats on my own, and Lord knows I've done one or two where I was the only person talking. So I love the input. I love the banter. I love the two-way conversation. Keep it going. It's the lifeblood of these live chats. What I'm going to do, I mentioned last week, I think, we were debating whether to keep the live chats one every week or move it to every other week or one a month or what have you. Because I'm going to do this video on Friday about the collection. Clearly, people are going to respond to that video via the comments section. But what I'll do is we will have a live chat next week. So for any of you that watch this, the video, not this video, but the video regarding the bass collection, if you've got any questions about any of the basses that feature in that video, you want to ask something, maybe you've even got the same bass and something isn't the same, and you want, why isn't mine like his? And so if you've got any questions or comments like that, save them for the live chat or put them in the comments section on the video, and we will do a live chat next week and go through it. And hopefully we can have a nice lively conversation about my bass collection. But you know what I'm saying. So that we get so many nuggets of information out of our live chats that it's very handy for anyone that comes and references these videos. And I have had bass playing friends who say, yeah, I'll watch your live chats after the event, and I saw something that you were talking about and I didn't know that. And it's like, well, that's the whole point. That's what we're doing these for. So that's all good. So yeah, so if any of you want an early taster into this video that we're going to do on Friday, first person who can pick out one of my basses and puts it in the live chat window, I'll pull it out the rack if it's in here, and we can go through it rather quickly. I'll give you a preemptive tale on any of the basses. Patrick, you know a lot of the basses I've got here. Pick one out. Hopefully not one on the other side of the room, because it means I've got to get up and go and get it. But I can go through any of the basses and tell you. This is going to be the challenge doing this video, is that I've got to try and truncate what I say into a small chunk. I can't, I did the list, it's 33 basses. So even with a minute and a half each, That's already heading towards 45, 50 minutes. It's going to be a hell of a video. But yeah. I did ask actually on the Facebook page today whether people would like this video as smaller chunks or one big video. But the general agreement seemed to be one big video and put chapters in it so people can zip around as they find as they want to do. Otherwise, trying to do 2 or 3 videos might be too much. Make it easy, the Betsy behind. Right, there we go. That's easy. So, here we have the base center. I'm looking at the laptop, the camera's here. This is a Betsy base by the Base Center here in the UK. So this is based on Guy Pratt's own 64 Fender Jazz in burgundy mist, fitted with EMGs, no active circuit but active pickups, and formerly owned by Entwistle, was then owned by Dave Gilmour, then Guy Pratt bought it off him. So this was designed so that Guy Pratt wouldn't have to take Betsy out on tour. It's getting old. Don't want to be taking those sort of basses out on tour. I came across this bass, and this is the exact bass that was there for demonstration at the London Bass Guitar Show in 2019, September 2019, and I went there on the Friday to get a load of review work done ahead of the show. It was always really difficult to do reviews on Saturday and Sunday because the manufacturers and distributors didn't want you taking their products off the stand. They want them there for people to play and try. So we came up with an idea in, goodness me, I think after the 2016 show. So we did it for the 2017, 2018, 2019 shows. I would go in on the Friday when the stall, not stall, what am I on about, stand. The stand attendees were building their stands and bringing all their guitars and amplifiers and pedals and stuff into the show. I would have a little room out in the nether regions, and I would get a load of review work done ahead of the show, which meant then I could do all my other jobs that I needed to do for the magazine on the Saturday and Sunday. Anyway, Barry Morehouse from the Bass Center is there setting up nice and early on the Friday, and he said, "Oh, you." He said, "I've got a bass for you to review." So I said, "Okay." I said, "Have you cleared it with Joel, my editor?" He said, "No, not yet." So I got Joel on the phone. I said, "Barry's got the Guy Pratt Betsy bass. Can we review it?" "Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, knock yourself out." So I took the bass, did a quick spec sheet with Barry, who told me wrongly that it was totally passive, not knowing there was a battery underneath. I didn't have screwdrivers, so I couldn't check. So any of you who've read the Betsy review that appeared in Bass Player or Bass Guitar magazine, don't tell me. I know it says passive, it's active. The pickups are active, but there's not an active circuit. So anyway, I went away, reviewed this bass. I was absolutely blown away with it. And when he told me the price, I nearly fell over. I said, "That's probably one of the best jazz basses I've ever played." And at that time, the bass was £600. I said, "It's outstanding." I said, "Tell you what, can I buy it?" He said, "Well, I need it for the show." He said, "But after the show, you can have a new one." I said, No, I want that one." I said, "Because I can't guarantee another one is going to play exactly the same as this. I've learnt my lesson over the years. You find a really great playing bass, buy it. Don't go and find another example. It might not even be remotely the same." So I said, "Yeah," like I said, "let every people use it during the show. I'll come pick it up off you on the Sunday." So I did. That's the Betsy bass. Used it for about 40 gigs from September 2019 up till COVID. And I've used it on a few gigs since we came out of lockdown. But generally I don't use it on the Uncle Funk stuff or the Queen stuff. But I have used it on various sort of functions and cover gigs. There you go. There's the story. Sean P, Betsy bass. I was going to say that. Great minds think alike. So you'll be pleased to know there's now a black version of this. And if you go to the Bass Center site, you can also specify whether you want it as a line fretless. And they also do bridge upgrades now. I think the choice is a Babbage bridge. There might be a badass upgrade, or that might be one of the other models. But anyway, you can now have this bass in black if that's your thing. I don't know if it's a painted headstock. I'd need to check. But I was having a look around the Bass Centre website the other day, and I saw that the black ones are now there for order. So if you don't like burgundy mist, and frankly, why wouldn't you? You can have it in black instead. But as a cheap, I say cheap, £600 is not cheap, but as a lower priced jazz variant, these are outstanding. I'll stand by my magazine review, and I'll stand by my my video review as well. Exceptional value for money. Strings are a little bit dead, but they're great. Play so easily, and with an ebony fingerboard as well. Slightly different jazz sound, so it's not a rosewood or a maple that you would normally find, and the ebony board just makes the notes really jump off. It gives everything a slightly harder edge, but it's good. Really good, lovely attack, pretty warm in the bottom end, loads of mid-range, and very comfortable to play. There we go, the Betsy. Woo! It's all good. So there we go. So I need to truncate that story down into about 90 seconds. So I can see there's going to be some overdubbing and revised filming tomorrow, I think. And I've got 33 of these to do, so it could be an interesting old video. But hopefully it will be really interesting, and there's some stories, you know. There's plenty of stories. So I'm just looking around the other bases and thinking, yeah, yeah, there are. So I've got the Mike Dirnt Fender Precision on my wall there. That was bought for the Green Day tribute I was in. And then when that finished, it's such a good bass, I didn't want to sell it. And it sounds unlike any of the other Precisions I've got. That pickup is just like really, it's poleaxing. So I stuck a different scratch plate on it, and it does a different thing to the other Precisions that I have here in the collection. Fanfret Steve, message retracted. I presume you put a typing error in. Or not. I don't know. Let's see. So if you're new to live chat, you've not done this before, either on my channel or other channels, if you've got any comments, any questions, anything about bass guitars, bass amplifiers, bass effects, bass accessories, bass players you like, bands with great bass players, amazing albums with great bass lines on, stick it in the live chat window. If you're on the mobile app, it's below here. If you're on the desktop, it's that way. And as soon as it comes up, I will respond to it. Graham P, you just put a message in about GB basses and you've retracted your message. I'm not sure what's going on. Hopefully YouTube is behaving itself. Repeat your question, my lord, and I will answer it. What did you want to know about GB basses, Graham? Ah, Graham P. Graham Potts on Facebook, I think. How do you find the GB Spitfire? GB Spitfire right here. Let's get this, so people know what we're talking about. So this, if you follow the channel, will be fairly familiar. It featured in quite a few thumbnails, and it was on the thumbnail for last week's live chat. This is a GB Guitars Spitfire. Anyone who's not familiar. GB Guitars, Bernie Goodfellow. So yeah, the same Bernie Goodfellow that did the Goodfellow basses in the 80s and early 90s. This is a Spitfire. This is GB's version of a jazz variant, I guess, with the same circuitry as found in the Rumor basses. There was a move around about 2003, 2004 where he standardized the circuit. Before that, Spitfire was called the Classic, and it had, I think, 4 controls in a row. But if you see a GB Spitfire, Classic, Rumor, Merlin with the 2, then the 3, and a switch, it's basically got the same circuit in. So how do you find the GB Spitfire? So I bought this in 2009, but I actually saw it the day it was finished at Bernie's workshop, which would have been late 2005. The guy that was going to buy it, he'd commissioned it. And I said to Bernie and his then partner, Deborah, I'm going to own that one day. I said, I love that bass. He said, oh, I don't think you'll get it. The guy's very, he's been waiting for this for quite a while. Little did I know, 4 years later, the guy had already sold it to someone else. And then I bought it off that guy. It turned up on eBay. And I don't know many other people, or I've never come across anyone that's seen this and said, oh, I bid on it. But anyway, I'd won it. And here we go. Used it on a few gigs. I find the whole reason I chose to have a Rumor made in 2003, 2004, I preferred the Rumor shape. I was lucky enough to play one of Bernie's demo basses, the powder blue one, which is quite famous in GB circles, which was a bass he used to give to people that wanted to order a bass, and he would give them the powder blue Rumor. You try that, then try a Spitfire, and then you decide which body shape you like, which headstock shape you like, how you want it to be. I preferred the Rumor to the Spitfire. And he gave me two different ones. There was a quilted maple, like honey, natural coloured one, and there was another one. Might have been a Daphne blue, maybe. Anyway, I went for the Rumor setup. But by 2009, I thought, actually, do you know what? I wouldn't mind a Spitfire. And lo and behold, this one came up. And I thought, as soon as I saw it, I knew what it was, because I'd been there the day it was ready to be picked up by the customer. And it's great. I've done some gigs, but I just find it a little long. And someone took a picture of me playing it on a gig once, and it looked really odd. The dimensions looked a bit odd. It looked like it was way too long for me, but I don't know, maybe it's something to do with the photo, but I generally prefer my Rumors. But anyway, lovely bass, sounds great, killer. So yeah, Graham, I find the GB Spitfire very pleasing. Thank you. Fanfret Steve, Steinberger were a thing in the 80s. Do you have any experience of them? No, I don't. Other than kind of honers based on the Steinberger design with the Steinberger bridge. But I've never played a Steinberger other than probably in passing at the bass centre, probably in the early 90s maybe. But no, never bought one, never owned one, never used one on a gig or a session. Never been something for me. I don't mind the sound, but it is what it is. And to be honest, I'd prefer the sound of a Status over a Steinberger. But for a whole period in the 80s, that was the sound. Every bass player had to have a Steinberger. I don't have any sort of majorly positive or negative things to say either way. Unless you've got one in your hands and you're using it and you can kind of get to grips with it. It's a bit hard to give an opinion on that. Sorry about that, Steve. Sean P. Bass, need to go. See you next time. Cheers, Sean. Thank you very much for the super chat payment. Very much appreciated. Love your work. If I can be any more help when you're buying a bass, let me know. So yeah, so here we are. Live chat 32. I'm going to put the Spitfire back in the rack. Let's get that over here. So by comparison, so that was a GB Spitfire. So here behind me, lurking, is a GB Rumor. So what I just said, I preferred the Rumor shape and design to the Spitfire. Here's an example. So this was the second of Bernie's demo basses. So I just referenced the powder blue one. Apparently this was powder blue up until a couple of years ago. So this was the second of two demo basses that Bernie made. And over time they got banged about and what have you. Anyway, it got resprayed white and it's got the sound to light system in it. For anyone that doesn't know, I can't demo it here without plugging it in. I'll do a video, will be on the channel soon, demoing the sound to light system. But as you play, the LEDs follow various patterns based on what you're playing. It's really quite impressive. But it absolutely drains the batteries. You won't get more than one show out of the batteries, and it's using 4. So it does have an adapter, so I will do a demo video at some point. It's got the old adapter port on the back, so I don't have to use batteries. So the base got resprayed, and it was either given or bought by one of Bernie's, I guess he's his business partner, Jim, or one of his friends anyway. And this was Jim's bass. And then last year, for my 50th birthday, I was looking around for a bass. I didn't want to have something commissioned. I was just looking around to see what was out there in the secondhand market. Remembered there had been this bass on the GB site, and it had said for sale some months before. And I went back on the site, and it was still listed there as being for sale. So I contacted Bernie and said, "That white Roomy you've got, is that still for sale?" He said, "Oh, no, it's not for sale." I said, "Well, why does it say on your website it's for sale?" "Well, Jim owns it." I said, "Right." I said, "Well, why does it say for sale?" He said, "Well, Jim's here. Have a word with him." So we had a chat, and I asked Jim if he'd be prepared to sell this, and he said, "Yeah, all right." So here we are. So this is the Rumour bass, quite different to the Spitfire. I'm sure you'll agree. One concession was when I bought the bass, it had humbuckers. It now has single coils, because all the GBs I've got have got Bernie's humbucking pickups in. These are single coils. And I, other than for the gigs I've done for the bass string experiment, where I've used the Status Empathy, this young lady, up until that started, I was using this bass with Uncle Funk's Disco Inferno, doing all the disco hits and what have you. And these single coils sound immense, absolutely immense. So maybe I should have had the single coils put in the Spitfire, but anyway, they're in this bass. It sounds amazing. There will be a demo and a review video of this going up very shortly, and it's quite fabulous, I have to say. Very smitten, very easy to play. It's got an extender, hip shot extender on the rear of the headstock. Like I say, 4 batteries for the LEDs and the circuit. And then in there's all the gubbins for the sound to light system, so we don't go near that. And yeah, there we go. But it's great. I saw some messages pop up. Graham P, have a couple of Spitfires myself. I'm sure it's Graham Potts, isn't it? Graham P. Graham Potts comments on some of my videos on Facebook, so I'm presuming Graham P is the same Graham Potts. Have a couple of Spitfires myself. Would love a Rumour, but they don't often come up for sale or use. They used to. This is the bizarre thing. From about 2008, 2009, 2010, and through the early 2010s, 2011, 2012, loads of GBs went up for sale because they had come away from being flavour of the month, which they had been in the early 2000s because of Mark King's association with them. Graham P, yes, Graham Potts, there we go. Welcome. There used to be loads of GBs, and they were quite cheap. It was quite disheartening for those of us that had bought them, and now they were being sold secondhand, really cheap. But you're right, there hasn't been really many Rumours up for sale for quite a while. Apparently the Rumour shape is based on the female body shape. Got to love Bernie, certainly is. I don't think I've got the logo on. No, I haven't. So yes, it's correct. I remember seeing that picture before he started using it on his logo. He's got an etching of the picture, and anyone that's seen the GB logo with the female body on it, yes. But this body shape just works really well for me. But this is quite different to my Kingfisher Blue one. Kingfisher Blue one was my first custom bass that I've ever had made, and the only one I've had made. And I actually made the horns and the general body about an inch wider all the way round. At that time, so in 2003, I think I placed my order, the Rumours were generally quite slim and the horns were very slim. Stuart Clayton's Rumour, his red one, has very slim horns on it, and I didn't like that. I wanted a bit more of a bass to grab onto. So I made my Kingfisher Blue is about an inch, centimetre and a half maybe, wider around the whole body shape. I even drew it out on paper at Bernie's workshop in Croydon and made sure that I added on about 1 inch all the way around. But this is more the classic horn styling, I think. But it plays great. It plays absolutely superb. It's got a real bounce to it. And that's unplugged. Quite different sounding to my Kingfisher Blue and my 5-string. Although they've all got their own kind of character and bounce. But this one's just got something quite different. Can't put my finger on it. Just certain woods, constructions, through neck as well. I did try to get out of Bernie what he thinks the body and laminates are made of, but anyone that's tried getting official secrets out of Bernie Goodfellow, you'll know what I'm talking about. Okay, Patrick Sweeney, what about the Kubicki Factor you have? There's 2. You'll see them. They're in the corner. Me trying to get there could take up the rest of the live chat, Patrick. So wait for Friday and you'll see them both. I think you've seen the white one before. You've been watching Vale Johnson playing his. Well, quite. The one you haven't seen, although you may have seen photos, but I've never used on a video or a live chat, is my original. So I bought it in 91. It was made in 89, but it was brand new when I bought it. And it's a Fender custom shop, obviously, because it's an 89. It was one of the first ones they made with Phil's Kubicki parts. So it's the old style circuit, 6-position selector switch, 18 volt. It didn't come with the Fender custom shop sticker. But it was also one of the batch of 200. This came from Phil Kubicki, the man, in 1992. I had so many neck problems with it. It would move about like crazy. Fender did a production run of 200 in 1989, and mine is one of them, where they didn't seal the maple neck laminates. They just they built the neck and varnished it. They didn't seal it. So any sort of temperature change or humidity change, and that neck twists and moves, and you can set it up great, and next thing you know, you've got it on the gig and it's like the strings are flat against the neck and it's awful. And I contacted him in 1992 when I was at university on a Unix server using news groups. It was then, so it was all text on a Unix server, and he responded to my messages and said, take the neck off, send it to me, tell me anything you want me to do to it as well. So I got to shave it down a bit further, and I'll send it back to you. I said, fine, great. So did it, came back, beautiful. Never had a problem since. In 2002, I needed a fretless, or I thought I needed a fretless. I've never used it on a gig or a session, but it's there if I need it. And I didn't want to get rid of the bass. And I got Bernie Goodfellow to defret it. So it has little maple lines on the fingerboard, and it plays great, and I've still got it, and it's got a lot of stories from the glam rock tribute band days, and lots of my first dep gigs were done with that bass, and you'll see it on the video on Friday. But yeah, so there's that one. So that's a Fender custom shop. Then I have a 1988 Kubicki, which I thought was a proper Phil Kubicki made bass, and I didn't think Fender took over the license until 89. But Carla Kubicki, I think she's got a different surname now because I think she remarried, recently stated that Fender took over the license in 88, and it could make what I thought was a Phil Kubicki, a Fender custom shop Kubicki. So I need to clarify with her dates and serial numbers and stuff. She's great to deal with, Carla, so I will contact her shortly and find out quite what the full SP with that bass is. I need to know in case I ever want to sell it. Can't sell it as a Phil made model if it's not. But hopefully it is. It certainly plays differently and sounds quite different to the Fender custom shop. And the neck profile was is much different to how the Fender one was when I got it. But yeah, so you'll see both of those on Friday. All good, all good. So here we are. It's just coming up 9:20. We've been going for an hour and almost 20 minutes. I'll give you a 5-minute warning, guys. So if we're going to do loads more chat and questions and comments, then stick them in the live chat window and we'll carry on. If I don't see anything pop up in the next 5 minutes, then we'll wrap this chat up for this week. And like I said earlier, once this video drops on Friday, I will book in a live chat for next week. And if you end up watching the video on Friday, looking at my bass collection, and we can do a fairly extensive live chat next week. So if you got any questions about any of the basses you see on Friday's video, or you want to ask any questions or any of the things I talk about in terms of how I bought them and where I bought them from and why I bought them, feel free to ask away. Yeah, so these basses pretty much track my career, apart from the 14 that I've sold. And there were 1 or 2 basses out of those 14 that did quite a few gigs. But generally, looking through, these instruments have pretty much covered most of my career so far. So it could be very interesting. I've got to film all this tomorrow and edit up and try and get it out to you for Friday. I'm going to put myself under that sort of pressure to get it done, because I think it could be a really good video. And while it's winter time and people have a little bit of time on their hands and they're more likely to watch videos, I will try and put that up for your viewing pleasure. But thank you to everyone who's attended tonight's live chat. Really appreciated it. Thank you to the regulars. Good to see you all. Hope you all stay fit and well, and hopefully see you next week. But I think for now, unless anyone's got any further business, any questions or comments, if anything pops up in the live chat window, I'll respond to it as soon as it appears. But on that note, I will wish you a good, well, here in the UK, a good evening. Wherever else you are in the world, have a good rest of what's left of Tuesday, and look after yourselves. And I will hopefully see you next week for live chat 33, and we will have a chat about the video that's going up this Friday here on Brooks's Bass Corner. Yeah, quite excited by this video. It could be a whole lot of fun. We'll just have to see how the editing goes. I want to make it as good and as watchable as possible. So yeah, we'll see how we go. Hopefully it will be perfect. But on that note, at 21:22 on Tuesday evening, I'm going to bid you good night. Have a great day, what's left of Tuesday. Look after yourselves. If you're out gigging this weekend, have a good one. And just take care of yourselves. It's winter time. We've got some horrible viruses and colds and flu bugs flying around here in the UK. So take it easy, guys, and look forward to hopefully seeing you next week. Keep an eye on the community tab for messages. And if you follow on Facebook, Instagram or Twitter, I'll post up details of Friday's video when it's going up as soon as I possibly can. Once I've submitted it for upload and scheduled it, it will be there, and you will see. You will see it when it comes out on Friday. Cheers, Graham. Take care. See you next time. Thank you for coming on. And I will see you guys hopefully next week for live chat 33. Thank you to everyone who's subscribed, followed the channel, posted comments, given videos likes. Thank you to Sean P for his super chat payment. And I will see you next week, hopefully. Live chat 33. Stay in touch. See you soon. Take it easy.